Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a College of Tragedy Bard build in Baldur's Gate 3. This mod was made by Havsglimt. We'll be doing a level 20 version of this. However, if you only go up to level 12, that is okay as well. I'll be doing, I guess, both builds in one. Now, the College of Tragedy is cool. It turns any type of negative effects into positive. So if you have a teammate that rolls a 1 on an attack roll, you get a Bardic Inspiration back. You can also force the enemy to make charisma saving throws instead of, let's say, a wisdom saving throw, so you can change that all around. It's very faithful for the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons subclass, and we'll be breaking out all of this in this video. So, level 1, cantrips. I like to grab Vicious Mockery, disadvantage on an attack roll, and Mage Hand. Throw health potions to your teammates. Minor Illusion's another good one, and if you're the face of the party, Friends. For spells, bonus action Healing Word, Thunderwave, throw the pushback. Dissonant Whispers fits thematically here. It's a good amount of damage and can give Frightened on a target. And we'll also go with Long Strider to buff up the team by increasing their movement speed by 3 meters. We can also add in Fairy Fire if you prefer that. And for our ability scores, I like to go with 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 10 Intelligence and Wisdom, and 16 Charisma. And then for skill proficiencies, Persuasion is always a good one to grab, and Performance Deception. So we'll be going through the full leveling guide here, as well as I'll show off combat and gear. Level 2 gives us a Jack of all trades, adding half our proficiency bonus in the ability checks we aren't proficient in, and the Song of Rest for an extra short rest. We also get to take another spell, and at this point, it's really your choice here. Early game sleep can be good to put 3 goblins to sleep. We'll take Fairy Fire to give advantage on attack rolls. Into level 3, we get to pick our subclass, and this is where we're going to go with the College of Tragedy. Not all grand stories conclude in the triumphant victory. As you know, that sorrow and pathos are emotions just as potent as joy and delight. Specializing in the power of tragic storytelling, you weave words and spells together with dramatic and devastating effect. Poetry and misery. You've learned to harness the beauty in failure, finding inspiration in even the direst twists of fate. You may regain a use of your bardic inspiration whenever you or an ally rolls a critical failure for an attack roll or saving throw. That's huge. So you get bardic inspiration back pretty much every turn if you have a reaction. That's nice. You also get the Sorrowful Fate. Exploit a foe's peril to instill deep feelings of sorrow and doom, changing the next saving throw forced by the target to be a charisma save instead. Not everyone's going to be great with those too, so that's perfect. The target of the if the target of the save fails, they take 1 to 6 psychic damage. The way they adapted this, they made it act for 2 turns in case anything weird happens. It also is funny in D&D, if you use this on a target and you take them out, they say something. Unfortunately, it wasn't able to be implemented into Baldur's Gate 3, but Havsglimt did make a note on that, and I thought it was pretty funny. We'll also go for our next level spell, and I think Hold Person is possibly the best choice here. Cloud of Daggers is good for the guaranteed damage, no save. Heat Metal and Silence are 2 other nice spells. Even Shatter is good for the area of effect damage that you can bring. Level 4 gives us another cantrip, and I guess we can grab Minor Illusion or Friends there. And then for our next level spell, we'll go with this Shatter or Silence spell. And actually, Cloud of Daggers can be pretty nice too, because you can set it up in a good location. Depends what you like to use for your concentrations. And for our ability score, I think Dexterity or Charisma works best. The Alert feed for the +5 to Initiative can also work too, but I think that increasing our spellcasting stat, Charisma works best. Our Bardic Inspiration now becomes a 1d8, and we get access to level 3 spells with things like Glyph of Warding and Plant Growth being nice non-concentration based crowd control. If you're a half-elf, you can use the Glyph of Warding Sleep to put a group of enemies to sleep at your feet. Stinking Cloud can be nice too to stop targets from taking actions. Plant Growth is just good for the non-concentration crowd control. And even Fear is a really useful spell here, so this can give the target disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, and they'll drop their weapons so you can grab it. I'm going to go with Glyph of Warding, but you can take which of those you prefer. They're not going to be super necessary. We get Counter Charm at level 6, and then we get our subclass features, the Tale of Hubris. When a creature scores a critical hit against you or an ally, you may invoke the story of the attacker's downfall. For the duration of the effect or until the target suffers a critical hit, the threshold to score a critical hit with any weapon is reduced by 2, effectively a 10% increase to your critical hit chance if the target crits you. Pretty cool. There's also Unstoppable. Your words twist the power of fate to create triumph from the promise of future despair. When you make an attack roll and saving throw, you can gain a +10 to the roll, but the next attack roll or saving throw you make gets a -10 penalty. If not used, it disappears after a short or long rest. Pretty cool ability there. So +10 to your saving throws and then -10 to the next one. Kind of funny. Plant Growth or Fear for your next choice and spell there works pretty well. And once we hit level 7, we get level 4 spells now. So we get Confusion, which is possibly the best choice. Greater Invisibility can work too, but we're mostly going to be doing our crowd control spells as a bard. Now, I guess we take the Greater Invisibility here and max out our Charisma at this level here. Once we get to ourselves a level 9, we do get access to some more powerful ones like Hold Monster, which will definitely be a beneficial spell to have, as that can immobilize some enemies in boss fights, making them much easier. Our Bardic Inspiration becomes a 1d10. We then get to choose another spell, and we also get magical secrets at this level. We'll take Dominate Person here, and for the magical secret, I like to have the Cone of Cold. Conjure Elemental with the Water Elemental can set up double damage in your Cone of Cold, which is really nice. But I also think that Spirit Guardians is a really good one, because we get higher level spell slots, so we can upcast that. Other good options are some of the other spells, like Command can be pretty useful to have on a Bard for extra crowd control. Misty Step, Thunderbolt, Hunger of Hadar is okay too, but it can't be upcast. Counterspell is another really good one to have. You go Counterspell and Spirit Guardians. I just like to have Cone of Cold for some guaranteed damage, as we don't really have damage spells. We'll also take Intimidation and Persuasion Expertise there. Nice to have. But level 11 gives us a level 6 spell with things like Eye Bite and Otto's Irresistible Dance. Two good options there. Pretty good at mobilizing bosses, but I prefer Hold Monster. I guess we'll take that there. We just have a lot of enchantment spells. And we'll take Alert for the +5 initiative at this level. I think that's a good choice. We also get to take, I guess, more of the single levels. We'll go with Mass Killing Word. Nothing super necessary here until we get our next subclass feature here at level 14 with the Tail of Hubris. So this is just an upgraded version, which now increases the critical hit chance to a -3 instead of the -2. So 15% increased critical hit chance if you get hit with a critical hit yourself. Never take Seeming, just a little pro tip. I guess we could go with like Heat Metal here for our next level. We already got our magical secrets, and we can take 2 spells at this level too. So Invisibility for another enchant or illusion spell. Level 15 gets our Bardic Inspiration up to a 1d12. And again, nothing really new for spells here, so just take what we got there. Spirit Guardians, Cone of Cold, going to be the big bread and butter of our build. We'll also go with an increase to our dexterity for better survivability here. You can also take the Tough Feat at level 20 for the extra, you'll get an extra 20 or 40 health, 2 per level. I guess we'll take Planar Binding there. We already got everything that we want from this. And we get to take 2 spells this time. It's crazy. I guess Freedom Movement can be very useful, and Silence if you need to shut down an enemy spellcaster. And once we get to level 19, we get our final feat here, which we'll take. Again, you can use Spell Sniper and get Eldritch Blast. You can go Warcaster. I think the best choice in ability score improvement. Max our dexterity out for better survivability. And level 20 gives us our superior inspiration. When you enter combat and you have no Bardic Inspiration, you're gaining 1 use. Not really that good. Typically, you're not going to enter fights without any Bardic Inspiration, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, this outfit is the Spiderweave outfit. It is available on PC and console, so if you want to make this appearance, you can go ahead with that mod. As for gear, there's a lot of really good options. So I like the Boots of Stormy Clamor, especially with the Spirit Guardians. You can stack Reverberation really easily using this. And then also the Wondrous Gloves. This is meant for a Bard. You get an increase 1 to your armor class, and you also get another use of Bardic Inspiration. So that gives us a 6 total Bardic Inspiration, which refreshes on short rest. However, Luminous Gloves is also nice too for the Radiating Orbs. Since we're going to be messing around with enemy attack rolls, we may as well be able to debuff them as much as possible. Now, the only issue is that Luminous Armor is medium armor. We don't have that with it. If we took a feat, we would be able to get the Luminous Armor. We can only use light armor. So the Ballast Armor is actually a really good choice because we can set up our teammates to deal double damage if we have other archers on the team. If we stand near the enemy, it makes them vulnerable to piercing damage, and then we can blast away with our casters. Now, we also got clothing-based option if you want to use Mage Armor from a scroll. But I do think that this is the best. Armor of Agility would be nice, but we don't have the armor class. And again, Luminous Armor would be even better. Helldusk Armor is another good choice if you wanted something to really boost up the armor class and survivability, but that's just another different choice. And we also got the Cloak Protection for better armor class. You can use the Deathstalker Mantle if you're the Dark Urge. And the Birthright Hat will put our Charisma up to 22, 24 with the Mirror of Loss. I also like to go with the, you can go with the Helmet of Arcane Acuity here if you wanted to do Arrow of Many Targets to get your Arcane Acuity up really high. We unfortunately don't really benefit much from the Storm Sign Power or Fire Acuity hats because we don't get the spells unless you took Scorching Ray from the Magical Secrets. Same thing with Power Quickness hats, some of the other hats that work well for spellcasters. The Hood of the Weave is another good choice though if you don't care about your Charisma. This is actually going to be better. It'll give you a +2 to your spell save DCs. And then we also got Amulet of Greater Health is to survive. We got the Coruscation Ring, which if we're illuminated with Light Source, we can apply Radiating Orbs on enemies really easily this way. And the Ring of Protection. So we got Reverberation, we got Radiating Orbs on multiple different accounts. I like the Staff of Cherished Necromancy, but that's not the best choice for us. We are more of a caster and less of a melee attacker. And with that, the Marka Heshker Staff is oftentimes our best choice. Because with Marka Heshker, you can then get things like Chain Lightning, which you normally wouldn't get, but a Bard has magical secrets, so you may as well do it that way. And then you can also use this free cast to give yourself that upcasted Spirit Guardians. All right, so getting into a fight here, we do have our Nimbus of Pathos there, which we can apply to our team. And what's cool about this is it gives a +4 to the target's armor class, so we can buff up our team, and they get advantage on attack rolls and saving throws, and deal an additional 1d10 of radiant damage with attacks and spells, and the number required to critically hit is reduced by 2. So that is really nice. You can buff up a team member with that. So yeah, you can also apply it to yourself there. It's kind of funny. And we somehow applied reverberation there. So yeah, we got the Nimbus of Pathos there, which will give us additional radiant damage. So then we're going to run around applying our radiating orbs. That's 2 stacks there. Unfortunately, I'm going to eat that opportunity attack just to show off. They rolled a critical hit. So when a creature scores a critical hit against you or an enemy, you invoke the Story of their Downfall. So the threshold to critically hit against the target is reduced by 3. So we'll go with the Tail of Hubris there. We took that attack, and then the Tail of Hubris applied to them. So we've increased critical hit chance against them. We're going to try and blow them up with a Spirit Guardians. Spirit Guardians upcast does so much damage. Even like, yeah, level 6 spell slot, you're able to do 42 damage just by walking near enemies. So yeah, this is how you typically are going to start off with, just going around like that. And then we have a few targets here that we need to deal with. So what we're going to do is we're going to go run up on them. We also, if we didn't have our concentration, we can use Hold Person as a concentration, but we have Cone of Cold. That's kind of our damage spell, really. That's all we got too. We have Dissonant Whispers too if you wanted to. It does additional 1d6 upcasted, which is not crazy, but Cone of Cold is likely going to be most times our best option for a spell. So we'll go with that there. Boom. We're able to deal additional radiant damage on those, so that's applying further radiating orbs. And then we'll finish this target out by walking near them. Yeah. Spirit Guardians stay on top. So the nice thing about Spirit Guardians is it's also going to apply the radiating orbs and the reverberation. So I guess we just end our turn there. It's pretty successful. I guess we would also use the Bardic Inspiration to give a 1d12 bonus to a saving throw for our team, so we can go ahead with buffing our team as a bonus action. That's kind of the value of playing a Bard. And here's cool. So the Poetry and Misery. Saving throw. Harness the beauty and failure, regaining a use of Bardic's Inspiration whenever you or an ally rolls a critical failure for a saving throw. So the trip attack, Minsk rolled a 1 critical failure. This gives us our Bardic Inspiration back. Sorry, Minsk, your misery turns into our delight. I also popped down the Mage Hand here. What's nice is you can do a free action to drop a health potion, and this can pick it up and throw it at your teammates. So that can be pretty cool as well if you got the ability to do that. And here's a good chance to show off the Command Grovel, or the Unstoppable to stop the Command Grovel. We rolled a 16 on our save. Yeah, that sucks. This will give us a +10 to our saving throw, but our next one will get a -10. This is going to be useful in this case because it stops us from getting hit by command. We also did fire damage against them. That was worthwhile, as unfortunate as it is. We'll then run over here and potentially take out this target by applying more, burning them to death with our Spirit Guardians. And then we'll run up over here to further stack radiating orbs or take out targets like that. Now, we don't have really great range for a lot of our spells, and I can't run up over there. But Cone of Cold is kind of the best damage option that we got. Again, being able to apply radiating orbs and do radiant damage with a spell like that is pretty cool. So, yeah, it's nice. We do have so many concentration-based spells like Hold Person, Confusion, Cloud of Daggers, Fear, Hold Monster, Spirit Guardians, Dominate Person. There's a lot of concentration. That's one thing to focus on. So our main damage is like Thunder Wave. And again, Cone of Cold is a big one for us. We may as well just deal with another Cone of Cold there to hopefully take out these 2 targets and finish them off. So, yeah, a lot of really cool abilities for this. And I do think that obviously, College of Sword Bard is one of the strongest classes in all of Baldur's Gate 3 easily. This is fun, though. This has a lot of fun attributes, and great if you want to play with friends or anyone that you want to protect, because you got the ability to save them a little bit more than other subclasses. So let me know your thoughts. Chose the Havsglimt for this awesome class mod, and we'll see you all in the next video.